and welcome to Startup Kitchen Talk, where we talk about startup apprentices becoming master chefs. In this show, we usually slow cook, we even flambe, but we try to never burn ideas. Not even today, when in the Czech Republic we celebrate this day by burning witch. But maybe today, instead of the witch, we can maybe burn some pitch. For example, with the one with a messed up cap table and the one where there are 4 co-founders who haven't signed a single thing. So now please welcome Stefan Surina, the CEO and founder of the law and tech firm Eldison.
Hi, Kate. Thank you for having me.
You studied both mathematics and law.
Yeah, that's correct.
Were you always this ambitious, or did you just hate going outside?
I have been always a bit ambitious. That's true.
And did you also hate going outside?
No, I actually liked it. But to be honest, I didn't have a lot of time with studying 2 universities. So yeah, but I was, I always liked mathematics and computers and computer science, which I studied actually. And I was always curious. So I wanted to know how the system works. So, I went to study law. So in addition to mathematics or computer science, which I started a year earlier than law.
So you said you were nerdy, and back then when you were growing up, probably it wasn't, as cool as it now to be nerdy, mathematics, technology, etc. Did you have a hard time growing up?
Yeah, a bit sometimes, but actually at the university it was in the
that's later on though.
In the surroundings, and with the people that were around me, it was kind of attractive or interesting, at least, to study this kind of combination. It was unusual, so a lot of people liked it actually. That you are different and you are you are more ambitious than an average student there.
And do they have something in common, mathematics and law?
Yeah, they actually have. Both systems are in a sense logical in a different way, but they share the logic. So yeah, but in many instances they're different. Mathematics, it's exact. And law.
2 plus 2 is 4.
Yeah, exactly. And in law,
2 plus 2 in law is what?
It can be 4.5 if you need to.
Well, thank you for your honesty. So you were a lawyer, then you weren't a lawyer, and then you were a lawyer again. Why the gap? What did you do?
Yeah, actually, I started my career as a lawyer. It was a coincidence, I started in Big 4 company, when I was looking for a summer job. So I was oh, that's nice, let's start, in the field that I actually study. And I continued there, and always I thought to myself that it's better maybe to be a tech savvy lawyer than to be a programmer with some legal knowledge. And then after I wanted to go more into business. So and I had my classmate from the university, he contacted me, and my friend actually, that he's starting a venture fund, whether I want to join him. And
did you have any venture fund experience at that point?
No, I was I was always in within technology sector, so I was close to it. We in my previous job we started some initiatives for startups with my friends, in Big 4 companies, which are now.
So you had some, but you never worked in investment company before.
Yeah, but you didn't have so many opportunities back then,
And it's lovely. You have to jump over all the venture partner and associates chronologically the other way. Never mind, and you just become the GP.
Yeah, it was very nice. Yeah, it was very nice. It was very nice and very, we've learned a lot, on the journey. So.
And were you a good investor? What do you think?
I don't know. I hope so.
What was the return on investment?
I don't, I don't know like whether I can share, like the exact
Okay.
figures, but it was nice.
It was nice.
Yeah.
So you were saying you were so and good. In one past interview you gave me, I asked you a very economic decision. Do you remember? It was, what is more important economical decision? How do you invest or who do you marry? At the first you have a shock in your face. I remember that. And later you say, who do you marry? Which is more important for you. Was that a lawyer's answer, investor's answer, or a good husband answer?
I think it was definitely a good husband answer. Also, I think it was a good investor answer as well at the end of the day. But like you need to think about that a bit more. Like just to think of the outcomes.
Now, like to make it clear, you need to think about a bit more about who do you marry. Yeah. I would suggest that it's not buying Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
All right, that is advice for you. You brought together tech and law in your when you founded Eldison. Well, how does that actually work? What does the tech bring to the lawyer's table?
We actually we have seen, like, and especially like in my venture capital adventure, we have also helped startups, like from the venture capital perspective, from the investor's perspective, and we've seen, like that the mindset that we were like coming, like to the startups and like how we helped them was from the perspective that we really wanted, like the startup to grow and to add value and money actually like that, like and like the team, like that I brought, like to Eldison was, like with this mindset. So we really wanted to help companies grow, and like, and with early stage companies and with also later stage companies, like if you are working with tech companies, you need to be like very tech savvy. And like with my background, like we were thinking like how we can do that, and we started to also build our own tech if we haven't found on the market something that was really like convenient for the cases. For instance, so that's why we started, like our own ESOP management platform, because like for our cases that we have been working on, like there was nothing, like on the market back then, and especially like that was flexible enough, like to work with like different kind of like legislations and legal systems. Was all the tools that were on the market were, like US based, or like has been able to work with UK stock or share options in the UK. So like then we thought, like this is a good start, and we'll, like we'll also build our own tech, like on top of that, like to be able to help, like the early stage companies, like via tech only, because like they couldn't afford, like to be, like supported by people, because it would be, like too expensive for them. So we wanted.
So
to
they're
help
supported
them.
by technology instead of an in-house person at that point, or how does that look in practice?
Yeah.
When you say you are a techie lawyers, what does it mean? Does it mean less paperwork? Does it mean super techie cap table, not using Dropbox or a Google Drive? What does it? How does it look in practice? Yeah,
it's, like it's, I think, all together, because like we were working from the very beginning. We were working like as a tech company from the inside, like we have been not working as a law firm. Like if you came, like to our offices, like in our, like, or anytime, like we are, like very similar to a tech firm. So our tech stack is very similar to a tech firm. So that's why we are cooperating also with our clients, like in a way that is very convenient to them. Like we are, for instance, like we are not communicating that much via emails, where we're communicating rather via Slacks, because like we are using Slacks as well. Like whenever we had in the past a problem, like how to allocate tasks, like we have, like set up, like ticketing system that you know like that was transparent to the clients. They have seen, you know, like what you know like what tasks who from the team
like in
was
an IT
working on.
department.
Exactly. So we have been working always differently from the tech perspective, and also like we have started to build, you know, like our own products that have been aiding, you know, like clients, you know, like to be able to manage some of their affairs that we have been advising on. So for instance, like imagine that you want to set up a ESOP scheme with us, you know, like if you are an early stage company, you just, you know, like can go on our website and, you know, like you can pick an option that is most convenient. Typically you start with a very simple like phantom plan or something like that, and you can just swipe your credit card and you know like start awarding options. So and that it's that easy, instead of, you know, like when we first started to work on a ESOP plan with one of our first clients, it was like it took a year. I was like we can't.
Yeah, I've seen those free calculators, and you can just put the information there, swipe a credit card, and buy an ESOP.
Yeah,
option.
exactly. And you have everything there. You have like legal documents, you have, you know, like management platform, you have the communication platform to your employees. So you can see, you know, like how much you have awarded, and the people can see, you know, like what's their options or what's their phantoms or what's their stock worth at the time.
Don't worry, we're gonna break down those words a bit later. Yeah, but now I got the idea. How does the company break down? Is it like 50-50 tech developers versus lawyers?
No, we're still, you know, like we are like 50 to 60 people now, and the tech team is, you know, like up to like 10 people. So it's still, you know, like much more lawyers than the developers.
And how's the communication between those two teams?
Now it's quite good now, but you know, like in the past, like we have faced many challenges.
For example,
especially like the you know, like the mindset of the teams is different in a way, like how they work with the customers. For instance, like product teams and developers, you know, like they are trying to build products that are you know, like that are an answer to a common problem that many customers are facing. So you know, like the conversation with the customer, they treat as an input rather than you know, like as a request, you know, like that they need to solve in any case. And the lawyers or the service people are typically, you know, like when a customer like approaches them, you know, like they want to solve the problem always, and you know, like they want, even though the solution is very bespoke, very specific, they want to solve it, because like that's how they are used to work. And you know, like if you put, you know, like these two mindsets together, it's like then the product person comes, you know, like and listens to the same customer and treat it oh yeah, like that's a good input for our, you know, like product development. And you know, like then you have a lawyer and says, oh, you know, like let's do it like this and this, but you know, like and tell the product guy, oh, we need to do that, and the product, no, we won't. We need to have, you know, like at least 10 or 20 of those customers like this to be able to develop a feature for that. So
some custom solution.
Yeah. So we don't want to build solution for one customer only. We want to build solution for many customers, and that's the different mindset. And you know, like sometimes the people don't understand each other. Like that's, you know, like different mindset, how we build products and how we provide services. But I think over the time, like we have managed, you know, like to
set the same goal.
Yeah, set the same goal and learn, you know, like the different mindset of the two like groups of people in the company, that they actually work differently and they need to work differently, but the goal is the same, you know, like whenever, you know, like we can still build solutions for the common problems, but at the same time we can advise, you know, like as a services on the specifics, but it will never be, or it will never be in product if it's only one customer problem.
Well, and some conflicts might be enriching. Do you think that this like techie approach might someday become default, or that the lawyering industry will stay the same?
I think it will be evolving. Like I think every industry like needs to evolve. so like the legal
Some
industry.
slower than others.
Yeah, exactly. You know, like something it's you know like more traditional, let's say it in this way.
I think it was like
Yeah.
last month or 2 months ago when Deutsche Bank put down the press release that they will no longer in 2025 accept fax machines.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fine.
So as I say, sometimes it takes time. And speaking of time, where do you stand the future of those like two legs that Eldison stand on? Because one leg is the techie leg, one leg is the lawyer leg. Will you divide those two companies, or will it be the same? What's the future in like 5 years?
Yeah, like we have actually like we had you know like many like different approaches in the past. You know, like we had a period of time where we treated the both companies as like totally separate and wanted you know like to build it as a separate companies, but it didn't work very well. So we thought you know like it's like because like they are complementary in a way. So we want to build it you know like as a one company that you know like that really helps each other. We want to build a platform that is actually like aiding the services that we are providing. So you know like we have three main use cases you know like with talent management, ESOP management. We have investment management, you know like how you know like to model you know like the investment rounds and cap tables and everything, and the contracting, like how we contract with the customers and how our customers contract with the high profile customers. And we want to have you know like the service part, but we don't necessarily want to advise on stuff that is you know like that is common in the industry. So you don't want you know like to be providing services that you know like that are you know like very template oriented. So we want you know like in services we want to be very you know like very niche, you know like with very much added value. And in tech you know like those common problems we can build you know like into our product portfolio. So so this is the approach that we are taking, you know like something that we don't want to advise on something that is common.
You already mentioned ESOP. I want to follow up on that because there is this hot and cold debate, especially on LinkedIn. Sometimes it is used as ammunition to throw some dirt at the government.
Yeah.
But you work with ESOPs in practice. So do startups actually want them, or is the whole debate slightly meta?
I think they want them. They want them, but you know like not everyone. It need like they need to fulfill certain requirements, you know like for them to be attractive as a motivational instrument, because like ESOPs are a way of sharing the success or sharing the growth, motivating. So you need to be at least a growing company that at least grows like 20 to 25% per year, you know like to be able to showcase that those instruments make sense. And you need to be able to communicate to those people like that it actually makes sense, because like what we've learned that why the employees weren't excited about ESOPs was they didn't understand that. So we really tried you know like to put together a lot of like educational stuff and you know like and help also startups and founders you know like to explain what actually ESOP means for their employees, like how to work with the motivation. So because like, it was very important, you know, like to help also with this aspect.
And if we simplified it, if we want to say to whom it is fitting and to whom it's not a good idea, we can say it is the growth.
Yeah,
like,
mainly.
Yeah.
Mainly.
So if you don't grow fast, like 25% is ambitious, but I know you are. But like say, if you are not a growing company, if you are not a startup, then it's not for you.
Yeah, but you know, like you can then, you know, like you then if you are not growing that fast, then you need to be profitable. If you are not profitable, then you are not a healthy company. Yeah. So you need to do something about that. So then you have cash.
And then you don't need that.
then you don't need that, and like maybe it's better like to like to give like your employees cash, and then they can invest into some instruments that they will believe that will grow more than your company. If your projected growth is like 5 to 10%, like you can find on the market like some opportunities that are more attractive than that. So so that's the whole play. Like if you are not ambitious enough to grow, ESOPs are not a great instrument. Like, and then you will not play a good role in the motivation.
And the motivation, sure, makes sense. ESOP are now officially in the Czech Republic, come to our law books. Some people are celebrating that, and some people are saying that local ESOPs are just a mess. Where do you stand on that debate? Is it mess? Is it great? Do we celebrate?
No, like definitely
do we throw dirt?
No, we don't. Like definitely we don't celebrate, and we don't put the dirt. Like I'm somewhere like in the middle of that debate, because like I appreciate that there is a discussion, that there is some movement in the right direction. It's not ideal, and like many surrounding countries are moving much faster, so that's something that is worth mentioning. But and like they can then attract like talent like to those countries, but that's like the only play that we are slower than like than countries around us. So that's the main thing, like mainly on the taxation perspective, but like from
and they build highways faster.
Of course.
So what is the biggest obstacle when implementing ESOPs? Are we talking legislation, the taxation that we have in our local form, or the fact that most people still think that Phantom is just a comic book character?
Maybe the third one, but in a different way, like because I guess as we discussed previously, like people don't understand that still. And if you don't understand something, and like you have to differentiate whether you get like some specific figure on your account each month at a specified date, like it's easier to understand than if you have like some instrument that will promise you like some cash payout after a long period of time based on like 12 conditions. So it's like it's
yeah, you
it's
lost me there. I was like I was just imagining it. It's like no.
Yeah, it's difficult to understand. So that's one, like why it's not used that much as it could be.
Because it's very complex.
Yeah, it's very complex. And the second one is like when founders like they realize, oh, we want to have ESOP, or like the investors tell them, oh, you should have an ESOP, and put it into the investment agreement that, oh, you need to allocate like 10% ESOP, so they need to do something about that. And then like they got stuck on like they don't know like how much they should award like to different people. And we have seen those problems coming again and again and again. So that's why we come up come up with an idea that, oh, we could like create some form of calculator. Then we can like founders can play with it. That we will help them out like with the thinking around that, because like without that they would never be able to start like the journey with ESOPs whatsoever. So allocations was also the second thing.
And so what percentage would you say when implementing ESOPs, when working with startups, what percent of that is explanation, education of your work? I mean,
it's huge. It's huge. I mean, like we thought like that. Like as I told you, that we have a technology that enables you, like to start with ESOP, like by swiping your credit card and just start awarding. But in reality, like just a handful of startups have done so in the past, because like they always, like stop and say, oh, it's such a huge decision for me. I need to understand it. And we spent, like few calls explaining how it works, what are the outcomes. And when they are when they are, when they understand it, they're happy to do it. But the education part is huge. It's usually like 2 to 3 calls, with just explaining how it works in different scenarios. And even though you provide the materials, it's still you need to go through it.
Maybe you should shoot some video tutorial explaining it.
We've started to do that.
Oh,
as well.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, still my idea. You describe Eldison as external in-house counsel. How is that not an oxymoron?
Like external in-house counsel.
External in-house counsel.
Yeah, we call it also a fractional counsel as well. So it's maybe more accurate.
It's less paradoxical,
yeah.
yes, but still.
Yeah, but like imagine that you started, to build your company, and you have some legal needs, and you don't want to pay an internal lawyer, but you want to have someone to help you out with legal matters as if they were internal. So and our team has done it, like many times. And if you can have just partially the capacity of a person from the team that has done it 10, 20, 30, 100 times, and can resolve the things that are common in the industry very fast, and based on your business needs, that's always better, because you will pay just a fraction of what you would pay to an internal,
to have an in-house lawyer.
Internal lawyer.
Yeah, those lawyers are expensive. You mentioned already some few mistakes that startup founders or startupists or investors can do at the beginning of a startup's life cycle. What are some of the strangest things, the bizarrenesses that you've seen?
Bizarrenesses, there are many of them. And it's also it's connected, to how the ecosystem is changing over time. And I think that there has been a lot of discussions around how are local investors investing, and what they want to see as a terms of their investments. So just I thought that the market has shifted in a way that we are having investors that are more upside looking and not protecting their downside in a venture capital.
Yeah.
And those it's still
going on.
It's still going on. And actually yesterday I had a conversation with a founder, and he was like, oh, I want to raise some funds, and I got a CLA on the table, and was like, I don't know what to do it, because it was.
You need to explain that.
Yeah, it was it was a loan, not to the company, but to myself, and and they wanted to me
to the physical
of
the founder,
to the natural person, the founder, and they actually wanted to sign a promissory note. So they and the venture capital is about investing in the venture, not in the
person,
person, and you want to differentiate the two. You don't want to be on the hook.
You say you were investing in a team, but just figuratively,
yeah,
legally,
exactly.
you're investing in the company.
Yeah, exactly, because who from the founders would be willing to risk if they will be risking their personal asset, their house, will be endangering the family, which actually still is on the market, and some investors want to endanger it because they want to protect their downside, and it's not a great practice, but
and that was yesterday.
And that was yesterday, because
I thought you're gonna go 5 years ago I've seen this messy cap table. I didn't think you're gonna say yesterday.
Yeah. It's surprising, because I thought and there are a lot of good VCs on the market already that have the right mindset, the upside looking, because when you are upside looking, then you don't care that much about the downside. but you really do everything what you can to support the growth of your
I think
company.
somebody calls this a venture capital. So you think that the strangest thing that it's still going on, the biggest of bizarrenesses is investors still protecting first and foremost their assets?
Yeah, like that's one. There are many of like this kind of like instances, like that.
Can you think of another one?
Yeah, like you have, for instance, like we have seen investors owning like 40% of the startup. Then the startup like came to us, like, oh, like, let's help. Like, can you help us, like to raise, like another round, like Series A? Like it will be like really difficult, and it was actually difficult.
And did you manage though?
And we didn't actually. Like we really tried a lot. And like eventually the founders then thought it would be better to exit. They actually sold the company.
And the investors didn't want to like how to devalue themselves, liquidate themselves.
Yeah, I think like they were happy like with the return. So it was.
So
like
we're keeping 40%.
Yeah. And the return was good. So everyone, like investors were happy. Like founders didn't want to fight. And like they were like, oh, like it's still better than like just to fight like another like years or so. So yeah, like it like after all like it was that there has been some resolution, but it could be much better.
Yeah. Is there a lesson learned from this? Like, don't take such investor who doesn't want to invest in the company, or don't take investor who asks for 40%. What is the lessons learned here?
Well, like that definitely. Like you want to keep your cap table healthy to be able to like to raise another rounds in the future. So that's for sure. But sometimes like just I must say like sometimes it's very difficult because like sometimes you don't have other option. Maybe you are in a phase where like you need really money, and you are in a situation where you either like to put the company like into liquidation or bankruptcy, or like take like some money which are under those terms. So like it's I appreciate it's a difficult decision for this kind of founders. But like if you want to build a really successful global company, like this is not a good way anyway. Like maybe to like to close the project and start another one.
Okay.
If you want to to build really a huge company.
You said what techie things Eldison does. You offer free calculators for ESOPs. You run on a subscription model for early stage companies, and you offer fixed fee startup packages.
Yeah.
Why do you do this like new and for lawyers quite unusual business model instead of the usually hourly fee one?
Yeah, we are trying like to be transparent and to be fair, like to the founders that we work with, because like sometimes it's very tricky for founders, like to employ a lawyer if you don't know like how much it would be. So like we wanted like to solve this problem in a way that we know like why certain like how much time and effort like some stuff will cost, and how much we need to spend on it. So it's just fair, like to even up, like this information asymmetry, to bring down and transparently say this will be this price, and it's just fair. For a subscription model, like we are like our technology we are providing as a as a SaaS, as a software as a service. So then subscription is natural part, and we also like do subscription for partially for services as a fractional counsel model. So companies can pay like a fraction of the lawyer's cost, like to be able to have someone on call, to have someone, like that will resolve certain matters, like in your life cycle. So it's just, like a mirroring, like the need of the startup founders in different life cycle moments of their startup. So like you want to raise funds, you want to know, like how much it will cost. If you are, like if you have an operational matters, like, and you want to budget it, like on a yearly basis, that this will cost, like like 500 euros per month. So you can do that with this model.
Because it's repetitive,
because
right?
it's repetitive, and we can manage it in a way that it works, like for both parties.
And does this model brings enough money? Does it work as a business model?
Yeah. But you need to be careful, like how you evaluate and how you do that. But yeah, like it's a fair model. Sometimes you a bit investing in are you investing in founders, because like
in that relationship?
Yeah, because like they have they have like more legal needs, like in the beginning, and then they don't need that much. And in traditional model, you would build it like in the very beginning. With a subscription model, you would just have it, like you would have it divided in time, so you like get money a bit later. But like it's typically for early stage founders, which is like fair, because like we still feel with many things that we are doing that we want to support like the early stage founders to grow, and this is like one way like how you can support it.
Yeah, me personally, I have a strong beef with subscription models on everything,
Yeah.
but I get to say in this case it makes sense. How are other law firms on the local lawyering playgrounds? Do they accept the innovation, or do they, talk shit about you?
No, I don't think I don't think that there is like shit going on around us. I hope so. Yeah, like I think
because
like
you're doing something differently, you are offering different payment system, you're doing something, you are producing information and content that now the founders can get for free, and before that they could have charged for it. So isn't that creating some beef on the lawyer playground?
I don't think so. Like and especially like in our field, the lawyers are trying to be innovative in a sense. So like I think in many instances we see that they like what we do, they see it as inspiration for their model. So I think like I don't feel like that they are offended too much by our approach. I hope so.
Speaking of how law firms treat you, you already talked about how startups need to be considered startups. They need to grow, they need to scale, and you followed the trajectory from the early stage, but all up to Series A and Series B on the US market. Yeah. How do those big US law firm, corner office, Manhattan View, $1,500 per hour, how do they treat you? How do they treat you as a slightly smaller European company?
It's tough, to be honest. Like because like we are regularly facing like this kind of challenges whenever we are representing a startup like in Series C, and they've seen they like you are like against a big law from the US, and we are like a small niche practice for them, and we are facing challenges like who the hell is this, but like but we usually are like very strongly supported by the founders, and we we are with those deals, and after a transaction typically it's a very good feedback on the cooperation, and they like and then they will say, oh, it was good, it was because like even though we are a niche practice, like many people from the firm has a good background from like that they have been in a big firms before, so they have just changed like the way how they provide the value, but but the experience is there, so like you don't face then the challenge like that you have not done the job properly, we actually do, and then also this is appreciated also by the big law firms like from venture funds from the US as well.
So it's like tough school. Do you see any of those big ass companies from United States doing the same, like launching free calculator, running on subscription model? Is there a trend there as well?
Yes, definitely. And like you have for instance, like you have companies and Silicon Valley, for instance, like big laws that are like running this kind of programs for startups that they are like putting like giving away like for free like a lot of content. They even try to like subsidize some early stage founders by like giving like free advice until some stage. But the downside, like the opposite side is like that whenever they reach the stage, they will just get a bill. And I heard a lot of stories, like when founders in the US just got a bill for $1 million for legal services for the past 2.5 years, and they have never received a note from these offices that like they will be actually charged like after raising a seed round. And like it's really then it's really like it's really difficult for the founders, because like if you raise 2 million and you need to like to pay 1 million for legal fees, even though it should be or could be expected based on their terms, but like if the lawyers are not like communicating that regularly, it's a tough.
That must be some hour rate for that.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned the Series C big ass American law company. Did I imagine them correctly? All of them, bill $1,500 per hour. All of them have corner offices with a Manhattan view, and all of them look like supermodel. Is that correct?
Partially yes.
Partially yes. Okay, well, the beautiful US lawyers in that. The US market is slightly nervous these days. You see, the stalling of IPOs, late stage funding is drying up. Do you still think that USA is the dream market for CEE startups? Is that still the goal, to go to US?
I think the US, it's still, even though like that there are some changes happening there. US is still a huge market. It's a huge market opportunity. Like culturally, it's very similar to us. Like you speak English there. Like it's culturally similar. Like comparing to China or India or like these kind of markets. And like it's very consumer oriented. So and also like there is a huge amount of capital out there. So from all of those aspects, it's still, I think, worth trying, like to go to the US market because of the economy and of the consumption that is there. And yeah, like I still feel, like that it's worth going there, even though, like fundings in the later stages will be tougher. But if you are a great company, and you still will be able to raise.
Or maybe you can, stall and try another year.
Yeah, of course.
You already, when we talked about ESOPs, you mentioned the term phantom. What should we understand the term phantom as, other than the French movie Phantom S?
Phantom S.
Phantom S. No, Phantom S. It's
Phantom S.
Phantom S.
Yeah.
Phantom SS in the worst case scenario.
Yeah, like Phantom, like it's just like a mimic of the like real options or real share schemes. So basically, it's a contract. It's just a contract between the company and the participant of the program. That will that will actually provide you with the value of the delta between the value of the company now when you enter the program and the value of the company at exit or at your exit.
So you don't hold any actual shares.
You don't hold any actual shares, but the mechanics and like the logic behind that is the same as if you had as if you owned options or shares. So that's why like it's very good way to start, because like you can have phantoms from the very beginning and it's easy to start with. You just like start with all the economy and like you set it up. You delimited the pool and everything like that. And whenever you are big enough and you want like to do it like more like asset based in an asset based way, you always can change that. So this is this is I think good way to start, and especially if you don't have an incentivized schemes here, and this is what we discussed now, would be before. It's a good way to start now. If there
doesn't that offer more ways how can startup founder be eventually screwed over?
What do you mean, like?
Because it still seems like maybe just from greenhorn point of view, it seems like when you hold an actual shares, it is like set in stone and you are there and you have the rights, right? At this virtual ones, first of all, I feel the same thing like when it's a contract when my friend explained me NFTs, but again to this, it's just a contract and you don't hold any actual shares. Does it offer any way that you can in the end be screwed over, or is it similarly safe?
I think it's similarly safe because like even though like you have in many other jurisdictions, or like you own actually the assets or the options, it's very rare that you would have also like the voting rights and like this kind of like rights that would entitle you with the ownership. So typically the options and the assets are like connected to like just the value, which is also provided by the contract. So this is like this is something that that brings you like very similar treatment in this sense. The downside could be taxation, and that's why all of the discussion is going on. Because like the phantoms are very similar as if you had an option to share in Czechia. So there is no difference basically, or very limited difference, like in this treatment. So then it's no brainer, like to start with phantom and change it in the future. And especially if you go abroad, for instance, like if you scale to the UK or scale to the US and you want to hire talent there, and whenever they have an incentivized scheme, you need to have an incentivized scheme as well, because like it would be, like from the motivational perspective, like if you have a great candidate and you have, like an incentivized scheme in the UK and your competitor has an incentivized scheme in the UK and you don't have it, then then the candidate would probably, like if you are not a much greater company, they will opt for that one, because like they will know that they will get more from the program.
So from the founder's perspective, what is the difference between phantom and the true ESOP?
Like mainly the main difference, like is that the phantom is just a contract.
So just one piece of paper.
Just one piece of paper, and like the true ESOP can be like you need to adjust the corporate structure. So there's a lot of steps you need to take. So it's much easier, like to adopt a phantom than a true ESOP nowadays.
And are there some common mistakes that people do with ESOPs that you see?
Like the main that comes to my mind is that we regularly see that the phantoms are, like that there is not a contract between the company and the participants, but the contract between the founder or founders with the participants, which is doable, like which is doable when the startup is small. But imagine that you have like when you have 10 plus participants and the founder, like has obligations towards each one of them. So so this is like that we see regularly, and sometimes we need to rework like this kind of concepts
and fix that.
Yeah.
It seems that you, even though the phantoms are not 100% ideal, that you like them. Yeah. Speaking of the things that you like, what is your favorite food?
Yeah, like many people know about me that you know, like I actually like I'm selecting my food you know, like not according to like whether it's meat or vegetable, but like what's the side, and I really liked like rice.
Please don't check the expiration date.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Plain rice.
Yeah, and even like when I was at the university, you know, like students don't have much money. I was like eating like plain rice just for you know like the whole day.
Do you like your work cases to be as simple as plain and plain as rice?
Yeah, because like it's make the things easier. So yeah.
Yeah, choose rice over pasta. And speaking of the food, I am obliged to ask, as every guest I have on, what is the weirdest food you've ever eaten?
Weirdest food, you know, like every time, you know, like I'm thinking about food and you know like some negative experiences with the food. Like the only thing which comes to my mind is when we you know like when we were traveling with my then future wife.
Yes.
Then
Sure.
future wife in Southeastern Asia. I think we were in Thailand.
Then that one that was better investment than your portfolio. Yes.
Yeah, exactly that one. And you know like we've been you know like and I was able and I was preparing myself for for proposing her at that time. And we went for a food and we were you know like and we got some food, like we went to the restaurant, but you know like the food was brought from the outside, so it was like some kind of like a street food. And you know like then we went to an island where I proposed, and when we were canoeing back from that island, and I was like
She
so
said
dizzy.
yes, I guess, I presume.
Yeah, she said yes, and I was so you know like feeling unwell, and she as well. I was like, is this you know like because of the food or because of you know like the having you know
It
like
was the food. It was the food. It was the food.
but it lasted you know like for the 2 days after that, so it was definitely a food.
What food poisoning? What an engagement celebration.
Yeah, what an engagement celebration. Exactly.
I hope that your progress will stick with you as this sticky rice. I
Thank you
just
so
made
much.
that up. Thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you,
Kate.
Stefan.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.